In the last video I revealed my new project for the channel.
This BMW E36 has been abandoned for years and it needs a lot of work.
And believe it or not, I did actually have it cleaned in the last video. Cheers for that, seagulls.
And in the last video I found mould in the interior.
So as you can see, this interior is covered in mould and it is absolutely disgusting. So let's strip it all out.
Let's get this party started by taking the front seats out. Then the front door cards. Then the back seats. Then I decided to take the rest of the interior out. It would be much easier if the roof was down. Well, so I thought. But something's really bent on this car which stops the roof going all the way up, which makes it an absolute nightmare to go down. But I'll be changing the roof on this car, so it won't be for much longer. That's the rear seats out.
We're getting there.
Then these roll bar covers.
And after taking this cover off, it looks like the other side has been cut off, so I'm gonna have to look into that.
Now the final part of the back of the car are just the rear door cards. Now it's time to strip every single piece of the front of this car, starting with the gear knob. Now I've just got to unplug all the window switches, the hazard button, the cigarette lighter and the clock. Now the next mission is to take the carpet out without knocking myself out. And no matter how hard I pulled, the carpet just wasn't coming out. And then I realised what was stopping it, the throttle pedal. So I took that out. And then the carpet came straight out, and I never realised how heavy a car's carpet was. And now I'm left with a big pile of parts and a very stripped interior.
So I've made some pretty good progress tonight. I've stripped the whole interior, and the next thing I'm gonna have to tackle is the dashboard. And I've never took a dashboard out before, but I've never stripped an interior before and I managed to do it, so this is all about learning. And I am no mechanic. I've literally YouTubed how to do everything I've done this evening. So guys, if you're trying to do anything to your car, trust me, YouTube is your best friend.
Right, so it's time for me to take my first dashboard out, starting with the steering wheel. Just make sure you disconnect your battery before doing this, because the last thing I want is one of your airbags going off in your faces and you sending me an angry message. It's time to start unbolting the dash. So there's 3 bolts along the top of the dashboard, and I'm not lying to you when I say I've seen people drill through their windscreens just to undo these bolts. And obviously I don't want to do that, so I've made this custom tool with an Allen key and a 7mm socket, which will hopefully work.
I think I now see why people just drill a hole in the windscreen. This is gonna take forever.
1 hour later.
To the person from BMW that decided to put these bolts here, cheers mate. Then Cole decided to come along and give me a hand and tell me he doesn't look like he's just caught his first fish. And at this point we were literally just taking anything out that we thought was in the way of us taking the dash out. And it seems like it worked, because out comes the dash. Okay, I don't know about you lot, but just looking at this gives me a bit of a headache.
So that's the dash out. We had to take out a lot more than what we first thought to get it out. So I think putting the new one in could be interesting. So I think it's about time I show you all a little surprise. Let me explain. Finding all the bits I need to build this car has been an absolute nightmare. And because I need so much to build that car, I wanted to get everything I needed from one person, which was proven to be impossible. I could only find interiors in London and bumpers in Scotland. And after looking for weeks, and I mean weeks, for all the bits I need, I decided that it would actually be cheaper just to buy a whole parts car.
So I did exactly that and bought this E36 convertible that has quite a lot of goodies on it. It has all the M Sport bits and these AZEV wheels, which are my favourite wheels for any BMW. It's got a full black leather interior and a black roof, and it only has to be outside my unit for 5 seconds until it's covered in bird poo.
And yeah, I have got the 4th wheel, but on the way home I had a blowout, so some nice guy in the middle of, I think, Derby met me with a wheel, so I think your name was Lee. Cheers, Lee.
It's got a full stainless exhaust. And the exhaust ain't the only thing that makes noise.
And I know you probably all think I'm crazy because this car at the moment is much nicer than my blue one.
But my blue one's got a bigger engine, half the mileage, and it's much cleaner underneath.
And yeah, it would probably be easier to take the engine out of that one and put it in this one, but at the end of the day, I started that project on this channel and I don't want to be that YouTuber that gives up on projects. So I'm going to take all the parts of this one to make my blue one the car I want it to be.
Which means much more content for you guys, and I get to learn more, so it's a win-win.
And I'll have a car to sell at the end of it. So it seems crazy now, but just trust me, this will be better in the long run.
Carl, are you ready to take it apart? So we wasted no time in getting the interior stripped. That's the front seats out. And the rear seats. Then the door cards and the handbrake. Then I gave it just a quick once over with the hoover. Now it's time to take out our second dashboard, obviously starting with the steering wheel again, which I'll be putting in the other car because it's got this cool BMW stitching. And now for my favourite bit. And just like that, it's ready to come out.
Dash number 2 is out.
Then just the carpet to come out, and that's the full interior stripped. We're basically professionals at this point. I mean, I wouldn't say professionals, but we're getting there. And the pile of parts is getting pretty crazy now. So let's pull this vert out and get the other one in so I can start putting it back together. Look at my seat. That's not very safe. So it's time to bring the blue one back in and start putting it back together. Starting with the carpet. Then the dashboard for the last time, thank God. Now I've just got to put every piece back on the dashboard. Starting with the dials, radio and heater controls. I'm now going to take off this door seal to change it for a black one, and you're also probably wondering why I keep changing outfits. This video was filmed over the space of a few days because I work full time and I can only spare a few hours each day to work on these cars. So by you guys hitting subscribe means I can do this every day, all day, and I won't have to get changed every time. And then the handbrake, because I don't know if any of you guys noticed, but this car never actually had a handbrake. And I might as well upgrade where I can, so I'm putting an armrest in this car because it didn't originally have one. And then it's just back in with the throttle pedal.
It's finally starting to look like a complete car again.
So because convertibles don't have roofs, you don't have much protection if you roll the car. So they have these bars that if you were to roll it, come out to stop your head hitting the floor. And on this car, for some reason, it looks like one's been cut in half. And I'm not happy to leave it like that, so I'm gonna get it changed. And it's a really straightforward job. You just got 6 bolts around the sides and 1 plug, and it should come straight out.
So I've taken the broken crash bar, roll bar, whatever it's called out of this car, and I need to take the new one out of this car, but to do that I have to put the roof down, and it's raining, and swapping these cars around at the minute is a nightmare because this one doesn't start, so I'm gonna come back to this when it's not raining.
So putting it in was as easy as taking it out. You just slot it in, 6 bolts, 1 plug, and you're all good. Now it's time to put the rear seats in. And it's just back in with all of the door cards. And the new black door seals.
Right, so the interior is almost finished, and the next thing I've got to do is put the seats in. But rather than putting the E36 seats back in, I thought I'd go for a little bit of an upgrade, because why not upgrade where I can? I'm going to put these E46 M Sport seats in. I don't know if they fit straight in. Let's find out.
There's not really a massive difference in them, just the E46 seats are a little bit bigger and a little bit more sporty looking. It's time to find out if they are a straight fit or not.
So they're going to need a little bit of adjusting, but I think they'll fit.
Oh, yeah, it's a 5 mil difference. You've got to take 2.5 mil out each side.
So all I've got to do is drill all the holes out 2.5 mil bigger, and these should go straight in. Now I have always wanted to do YouTube, and being able to pursue my dreams with my dad's help honestly is so cool. So let's whack the seat back in and see if it'll fit now I've drilled the holes out. And with a little bit of persuasion, by persuasion I mean a crowbar, it's in. Now it's time for the driver's seat, which went straight in. Must have been the seat I done.
Nice.
Voila.
And it's time for the final piece, the new steering wheel, which just looks a little bit more sporty than the other one.
So in the last video I found out that none of the windows work on this car, so it's time to find out why.
And then I remembered that when I was taking the dash out, there was a relay which wasn't plugged into anything. And I'm just hoping that that's the cause of the windows not working.
Now that's plugged in, it's the moment of truth. Back to the drawing board.
And after a bit of Googling, everyone was saying it's most likely this control module that's found in the glove box. Time to see if that was the problem or
It's fixed!
I am over the moon with how this interior has come out. I definitely bit off a lot more than I could chew, but it was so worth it. And I learned a lot in the process.
I hope I've gave you guys a little bit of hope that if I can do it, you guys can as well. But there's 2 checks I've got to do after changing this full interior. But before I do those 2 things, there's something else I've got to fix.
In the last video, I tried to get this car started, and even with a battery, I couldn't get any lights on the dash, and the only way to get it started was by jump starting it. And there is no way that I'm pushing this car in and out of this unit anymore, so no matter what, I'm getting this car started off a key today. So before I dig too deep, I'm going to start with the basics and put a new battery on it. So in goes the new battery. Hopefully it works.
Right, it's the moment of truth. Fingers crossed, that bigger battery is going to sort all of my problems. I'm not expecting it to, but if it is, that'll be lovely. We've got lights. Yes! I cannot believe that's fixed it. Hang on, let's actually start it. So it just goes to show you all, make sure you check the small things before you go digging too deep. So now that's sorted, it's about time I've done those 2 checks I told you all about. So obviously I've had every single piece of interior out of this car, so the chances of me not plugging something in is quite high. So let's find out if everything works still.
The cluster works. Well, it's missing a few numbers off the mileage, but I don't know if it was like that before because I never saw it. The radio works. Hazards. Check. Blowers. Sounds good.
But I have just realised that I don't have a rear view mirror. I can't really take the one out of the other car because they're glued to the windscreen, so I'm gonna have to buy another one. Leave that with me.
Indicators. All good. Main beam. All good. Fuel. Not so good. And I am so happy that we now have working windows.
Because if not, I was gonna have to take the roof down every time I went through McDonald's drive-thru, and that is not ideal. So that's a tick for the first check. On to the second one. Now obviously stripping a full interior means I had to undo lots of nuts and bolts. I'm now going to show you how many nuts and bolts that I missed putting back in. Let me know in the comments how many you think I forgot to put back in. So here's all the bolts that I've got left over. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 1 little clip, which I think for my first full interior, that's pretty good going. And to everyone that said 20 bolts plus, that went very nice.
But I think it's about time that I pulled this car outside so I could see all of this video's hard work in the daylight. And you have no idea how happy I am to drive this car out of the unit. Honestly, my back has aged about 30 years since pushing this car in and out.
So after moving it out, the mileage has started working, and you ain't gonna believe this. This car is on 72,000 miles.
So I think it's safe to say that I've made some pretty good progress on this car in this video. The interior doesn't have mould on it anymore, and the new interior looks so good.
I've now got working windows, and it now starts off the key, if I can turn it.
And yeah, it's a shame that I'm using this car as a parts car, but just trust me, it is all gonna be worth it.
Make sure you turn on the bell notification so you'll be notified the next time I upload a video, because I think it's about time that I made this car cool, because at the moment it is way too grandma spec for my liking. But thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit the like button and hit subscribe. You're all legends. Peace. And for those wondering, there will be an update video on the Civic soon, and it isn't a good one.